Why, hello, one and all, and welcome to another awesome video. And today we are going to be doing something a bit different. Now, some of you may know that I am a developer for a game called Battlegrounds 3, a game which takes place in the American War of Independence. Now, as a developer for this game, I get lots of crazy ideas, okay, and suggestions for this game. And so what I'm going to be doing here, and I hope to be doing for more videos in the future, is to take these ideas and break them down and to like, is this a good idea? What exactly would it look like if we were to add it to the game? And to really try to get into the decision-making process of whether or not different things could or should be added to the game at one point or another. And so lots of these ideas you probably heard before: cavalry, mobile artillery, the puckle gun, duckfoot pistol, Hessians. Like when we get to see these suggestions, people think, oh, they're being cutting edge. And like, oh, did you hear about this cool gun you could add? And the answer is yes, we have heard of it. And one of those, okay, for the longest time, which we had always said no to, okay, that I want to bring our special attention to today, is the Ferguson rifle. Now, what makes the Ferguson rifle unique, okay, here's a picture of something it's a Ferguson rifle. And what makes it unique is that it loads through the breech as opposed to from the end of the gun. Now, I kind of fibbed a bit in that this picture right here, while it works in that same mechanism, it is actually not a Ferguson rifle because, contrary to popular belief, Ferguson did not invent the system, and he was kind of infringing on patent rights when he did what he did. But anyway, so to get into some better imagery here, the Ferguson rifle, well, it was rifled, so it's a rifle. Means it's going to be accurate. But as you can see in these pictures here, how it works is the trigger guard here could be unscrewed to drop down this breech plug, and then the ball and the black powder could be poured in from the closer to you to where your hands already are, and so it's much easier and faster to reload. And so for the longest time, we couldn't even consider adding this to the game because we didn't have an animator on the team. But now we do have an animator, and so maybe this idea is worth looking into again. Now let's get into some of the history behind this, which we can use as a basis for our future decision making here. So only 100 were made, used from 1777 onward, okay, by British light infantry units. Breech loading, as I mentioned. Now, so an actually common historical misconception here, which we might have to play into later, is that everyone's like, oh, you can load from the breech now. That means you can like reload and shoot, 6, 7, 10 times a minute and just like pour lead down the range. But no, that's not what the breech loading was actually for. The breech loading, what it allowed soldiers to do was fire and reload while prone. Okay, so they could be on the ground prone while shooting. And that'd be like a different style of warfare that they thought would work better in the American theater. Carbine caliber, so it's not a full-size ball, it's a smaller ball, so it's going to be a weaker weapon in comparison to, say, a normal brown vest. Here's a close-up of the breech, and so here's the plug that once you unscrewed, you put the ammo down into there. Another image here of how it works. Now, this is actually not a Ferguson rifle, but a Ferguson mechanism rifle made earlier in history. So now next week we're going to take a look at, if we added to this game, what would it actually look like in the game? Well, we'd give it, for the British light infantry, you'd probably give it a quick lock time to help differentiate it from the pattern 1776 rifle that's already in the game. We'd probably make it at least as accurate as that weapon as well. 4 to 5 second reload time. Now, we don't have a prone mechanic in the game, so we can't really show that aspect of why the Ferguson rifle was such a big deal. So instead we have to play into the historical trope of it being faster, when in reality, like, people armed with it probably wouldn't be shooting faster, because with a rifle it's important to get aimed accurate shots, because with a rifle that fouls quickly, you actually can't get as many shots out of it as a normal smoothbore musket. Fast movement while reloading. So this mechanic of moving faster while reloading is kind of already in the game for the blunderbuss, and so it'd be interesting to see that implemented on the British side, and it would also kind of go into the true history of it being like easier to reload in other ways than just the time, right? You could be easier to reload this while moving than a muzzle loader. Non-fatal to the chest, and so with all this, like, it's like everything before that we mentioned is like would make this weapon strong, but we don't make it overpowered, right? And so we'd probably have to consider, hey, what if this wasn't fatal to the chest, to where it's really hard to get a one-hit kill with it? It'd be a completely different shooting weapon than every other weapon in the game, which would be really unique. And so effectively with all these things, it'd basically be like a long-range pistol, okay? In that it's fast, but weak, and it'd be accurate. And so then we could look into the idea of a reload cancel. It's just an interesting idea to think about. And we'd probably pair it with a small sword, or we can make something equivalent to like the butter knife, but on the British side, like a different kind of sword. Yeah, lots of options there. And as far as actually how I would go about making the model for this, I'd probably start with the common carbine and make tweaks to it in order to make it look like a Ferguson rifle, and then we'd have Andy animate it. So now it's like, next we're gonna look at, with all of that's what it would look like in the game. We have to think about, would it actually be worth us putting all of that effort into it? So I think this weapon, if we added it, would be fun for pubbing. But a detriment against it is that it would only be available for one class. And so, like, in a competitive situation where you only have one player per class, like, you'd only see it some of the time. And so it wouldn't be, unless it turned out to be like the meta, which we wouldn't necessarily want it to be. But yeah. Now, going back to this, so like, I think it wouldn't necessarily revolutionize the light infantry meta, but I think it would help differentiate the light infantry class from the regular infantry. Because back in Battlegrounds 2, light infantry was basically a regular infantry, except you have shot and your bayonet's a bit shorter, and that was all it was. But now with the Pattern 76 rifle and the shotgun being better, and then maybe with this, the British light infantry is just getting its own identity, and I really like that. More frequent reloading, and so it would be like the frequent reloading and kind of be, it'd be like a different play style that I think could be really interesting. Now it'd be lots of animation work. Okay, this is a downside to trying to implement this, is that we'd have to make that reload animation from scratch, and that's not easy. Now a cool side note is, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, if anyone knows, correct me, that this would be the first time the Ferguson rifle is ever represented in a video game. Correct me if I'm wrong. If somebody else did it in some other game, let me know, because I want to know. And so overall, I'd rate this as a 6 out of 10 value for effort. And so, yeah, let me know what you all think. Should we add this to the game? Now, that's not to say that if you say yes, we will add it to the game right away. But it's an interesting idea in any case. And then you can tell me also what idea... I didn't finish typing it in the thing. This should be idea here. What idea should I review, or what should I review next? Okay. Yeah, okay. Ignore me. What idea should I review next, okay? Tell me, and maybe I'll look at it next time, okay? But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time, okay? Bye-bye.